Hello, I'm Mike Arthurs, and I want to speak to you about your testimony and how vital it is that we share to others our testimony and what God has done in our lives. It's a powerful thing to be able to tell others what God has done for you. And I just want to share some of my testimony. When I was very young, I was sexually abused, and it caused great depression. And that depression led to 2 suicide attempts. I was so depressed that I started taking drugs and drinking at a very young age. And all through high school, all my time was consumed with partying, reckless living, and it was all because of depression. I didn't know how to handle it. And my parents took me to church regularly, all through my childhood. But I rejected what was being told to me. I was just too depressed and too upset to listen to anybody. I look back at what could have changed, and I think what would have mattered was if I had somebody other than my parents intervene. I think if I'd have had somebody that would have been a mentor to me. I didn't have that growing up as somebody that reached out to me and mentored me. And that's why it's so important that we do that to others. Do it to our youth. We know what they're going through. As Christians, we know what our young kids are going through. And we just need to reach out to them and talk to them about Jesus. That's why it's so important we tell people about our testimony. And as the drugs got worse, it became an addiction and alcoholism. And that led to my wife committing an adultery on me. And then I got to a point where all I was thinking about was hurting myself. And I just increased the drug use and the alcohol use. And it just got to a point where I couldn't go no longer. But thankfully, the things that I was taught in church stuck with me. That's so important to raise our children in church. Because I remember thinking about those things that was taught to me. And so I went to that church. And I went to the altar. And I went down to the altar. And I told Jesus at the altar that I need a change in my life. And I asked him for forgiveness. And I just begged him to take this from me. My addictions, my alcoholism. And when I come up from that altar, not only did I feel free from those addictions, but I felt joy that I knew that I was never going to have those thoughts again, and that lust for drugs and alcohol. I didn't completely turn my life over to God, and I should have left when I had a chance to, when she committed adultery, but my pride stayed in my way, and I stayed only for the kids. And that continued to increase my depression. I was drug-free and alcohol-free, and I have been for 11 years. But that did not stop the depression. I'll tell you what stopped the depression. Was when one month in 2012, she came to me, my ex-wife did, and said that she was seeing somebody else and wants a divorce. That was it. I went the next day, drawed up the divorce papers. She abandoned the kids, so I was raising 5 kids of my own. I went to Jesus one night, and I just begged him for forgiveness, for backsliding, because I was not growing in the Lord. I had withdrawn from church. It had been years since I'd been in church. I was drug-free and alcohol-free. I wasn't cussing and stuff like that. I just wasn't growing in God. I was going backwards. That's backsliding. We got to be careful about that. And that's what happened to me. It was just the depression just was pulling me back. And I told God this. I told God, my depression is so bad. I need help from that. And I told him I need somebody to help me with these children. I have 5 children. I need a faithful wife, a faithful Christian wife, somebody that serves you before me. And so after that prayer, I felt the depression and the anxiety that has been plaguing me all my life gone, instantly gone. It was joyous and glorious. It had changed my life. And it wasn't too long after that Tracy came into my life, and we just connected. We spiritually connected. Were on the same page with putting God first. We started dating. Soon after the divorce, we got married. things happened quickly. After that, she adopted the children. I joined Verdigris Assembly Church. Decided God put it on my heart to go to Oklahoma School of Ministry, and that was after the call to become a minister. All these things happened because I committed myself to God. And now I'm working on the Assemblies of God, the Verdigris Assembly of God van ministry with our youth pastor. And all these things are happening because I commit myself completely to God. I am trying to change myself daily for Him. I crucify the flesh daily. I do all this because of what God did for me on that day when He put Himself upon the cross and He nailed all of our issues to the cross. He said that we're set free. You can be set free the same way I have been. All it takes is commitment to Christ. If you haven't even started a relationship, I beg of you to go to Jesus. Start this relationship with Him. I thank you for listening to my testimony, and I encourage you to share to other people what God has done for you. This is the Christian Okie. I'm out.